guys, what's up? It's Joe Raiti from Raiti's Rides. I'm here in one of my favorite parking lot locations because guess what? We had that fun driving 6-speed manual available transmission of a vehicle. This is it. This is a 2022 Toyota Corolla, obviously Corolla Hatchback, and our particular one is the top trim known as the XSE trim. But before we get into this hatchback, versatile, small size car, let's talk about what's going on here. Obviously, Toyota's been around for decades, built a name for themselves off of reliability and durability. Now, believe it or not, this generation of the Corolla, the current generation, is not the first time that they've had a hatchback. The hatchback first appeared all the way back in 1978. It was called the Corolla Liftback. Now, what's interesting is fast forward to the 21st century, many brands obviously really putting a lot of focus into SUVs, but I'm so glad to see Toyota, Honda, Mazda, these main Japanese brands still bringing it when it comes to sedans and especially hatchbacks. Now, of course, for 2022, Toyota's main rival, mighty Honda, has an 11th generation Civic hatchback, and we're still working with the current generation of the Mazda 3 hatchback. But what I want to do is I want to take a look at our Blue Flame, that's the name of this color, Blue Flame Corolla hatchback, and really compare it to the 11th generation Civic hatch, since that is all new for 2022, and find out which one is the better one. Now, I know a lot of you were hoping for a hot hatch review of that all-wheel drive turbocharged Corolla, just like I'm waiting to get behind the wheel and go on throttle with it. Toyota says they're gonna be making announcements soon, so let's keep our fingers crossed and hope for big things with that GR Corolla. But until that day, let's dive into our bright blue Corolla Hatchback XSE trim and compare it to the new Honda Civic hatch. Let's see which one is the better one to buy. Let's find out. Right off the bat, the size. I love the proportions, very, very short in its overall length compared to the hatchback Civic. And you know what? If you've seen my review of the hatchback Civic, you would know that it's more like a sportback. It almost looks like a sedan with that sportback lift design. If you haven't seen it, I will leave it at the end of this review. Now, at the front of the business, really, really aggressive styling. And I think that's where, when this generation first appeared, many people were hoping for that hot hatch status. Maybe not fully hot. How about like a mild to medium hot? That's what we're getting with the style of this Corolla. Now, at the front of the business, you'll notice really, really aggressive styling, sporty with the headlight housing. You are gonna have LED projector beam style headlights, LED daytime running lamps, and the way that it just very angular into the front corner. You work your way down, a little bit of gloss black, but the great news is we do have full LED fog lamps. And you know what? With the Honda Civic, depending on what trim you get, you do not get fog lamps. You would have to step all the way up to the top touring trim to get those fog lamps. Here, you're getting it on many actual different levels, including the XSE trim. I like the bright silver finish, makes it almost look like aluminum. And then as we come across the front, you have that V-shaped top portion, and then working your way down, a massive grille opening. I really think that the Civic borrowed some of the style from this Corolla hatchback, fully functional, and then I really am digging the way they took that lower lip and just dropped it down just enough to really give it that extra look, plus help scoop air into the radiator behind this grille. Now, as we get up onto the hood, just like the Civic, very clean style. Definitely just gonna boomerang right into the A-pillars. And as we come around the bend, what are we working with wheel and tire setup? Now, depending on which way you spec your Civic, it's gonna depend on which way you're gonna go wheel-wise, but on our XSE, you're getting these gorgeous 18-inch wheels, V-spoke shape with the gunmetal metallic gray finish. It's a 240 on the width, and then a 40 series sidewall. And what's great is that with that 40 series sidewall, it actually gives you some cushion there. They actually look lower than 40 series, but they're looking really sporty and good. You have fully ventilated rotors. Of course, this Corolla hatchback is front wheel drive. And like I said, ours is available with the 6-speed manual transmission. Other than that, super clean style. Coming down the side, I love the two-tone. I think this two-tone metallic black with our blue flame color. Really pops nicely. You're gonna get the metallic black on your mirror caps, and it's cool because it's got a blue metallic flake to it to really give us some nice sparkle. Turn signals built in. You got color matched on the door handles, and that side sill, the way it drops down gives it a nice aero aggressive look from front to back. I think the big zonk is no sunroof. Very, very surprised on the XSE trim. No sunroof, but you do get a color match shark fin antenna. You'll see where that two-tone comes into the rear pillar, down into the fender area. And then as we come around the back, this is where things are definitely more aggressive and angular than the Civic hatchback. So you're gonna have this short, stubby roof spoiler. It'll be interesting to see on the GR Corolla just how far they bring that out. You'll notice that we have that very angular style on our LED taillights. And then you're gonna have XSE trim in bright red, the Toyota badge, Corolla. And then as we drop it down, unfortunately, we gotta finish with a zonk. Non-functional exhaust. You got an exhaust pipe underneath the rear bumper, but those exhaust outlets are actually fake and blocked off. You're not gonna get that on the Civic. The Civic has functional exhaust, but that is probably gonna be the biggest zonk. But other than that, definitely that more sportier feel to the exterior wrapper. Let's go ahead, let's pop the hood and see what's powering our Corolla. All right guys, we got the hood popped. You do have a prop rod, but you know what? The Honda Civic has a prop rod and the Mazda 3, but underneath the hood, no engine cover. So if you're confused, what are all these wires and tubes? This is normally what an engine looks like underneath a massive plastic cover, but we have that tried and true power plant. It's a 2-liter inline 4, producing 169 horsepower, 151 pound-feet of torque. Now, if you're comparing this to the Honda Civic Sport hatchback, obviously you could go turbocharged power with that setup. What do we got though? With the manual transmission, 0 to 60, 7.1 seconds. Quarter mile goes by at 15.5 seconds at 91 miles per hour. The car weighs 2,996 pounds. Where you're gonna be the real winner is MPGs, 28 in the city, 37 on the highway. And the other nice feature is you do get automatic rev match downshift feature with the 6-speed manual. The other transmission is gonna be a CVT, just like the 11th generation Civic. But why don't we go ahead, let's fire this up and hear what it sounds like. All right, guys, we're inside this 2022 Toyota Corolla hatchback with the triple pedals because we have the manual transmission. But I know you're saying, well, Joe, how much is this thing? Because I understand it's not a hot hatch, but I really don't want to go hot hatch. I just want something that gets me some good drive feel, gets me some good mileage, and still has a manual transmission availability. How much is it? So MSRP, the way that this one is optioned, is right around $25,000. Let's see what you get for the money, how it stacks up to the Civic. To the door panels, you're gonna notice that very unique two-tone styling with the ceramic white, the rest black material, soft on the armrest. I am gonna zonk the amount of gloss black. It's very, very gloss black heavy on the door handle and around the switch gear, which, think about it, that's where you're gonna be putting your hands. So you're gonna have to have your Toyota Corolla microfiber cloth to wash all the fingerprints off. Door pocket is a pretty good size. You could get an Einstein Brothers breakfast bagel in there, bagel sandwich, and a bottle of orange juice to wash it down, get some vitamin C. From the door panel to the dash, same thing, the two-tone style. I'm surprised how far this extends out. It kind of makes it a little tight for the passenger, but you do get the contrast stitching, and it's soft touch everywhere. Now, as you get to the infotainment system, this is gonna be your standard affair in the Toyota. It has not been updated to what we see in the Tundra yet. And I'm keeping my fingers crossed that the next generation, I'm sure, will have that. Is it a touchscreen? Yes. So that's the good news. It is a touchscreen. You do have Apple CarPlay. You do have Android Auto. Ours does not have the navigation set up in it, but I can show you, for example, the different menus that we have, including the apps, Wi-Fi, hotspot, and all those goodies. Let me throw it into reverse. There's our backup camera. We do not have trajectory, but it does take up all 8 inches. So that's the good news, but no trajectory. AC vents, cleanly integrated. You do get dual climate control, those nice digital LED readouts. We have our start-stop button conveniently placed. More of that soft white. Everywhere is soft white. Very nice touch. We drop down. Now, you're going to think that that's wireless charging. It's not. So that would be a good place for a couple Twinkies. You do have 2-stage heated seats. More of that soft touch material. Remember, this has automatic rev match downshift, so you do have to turn it on just by hitting this IMT button. Shut the traction control off, and then there she is. That 6-speed manual transmission. The shifter itself is actually a little tall, but nice smooth throws, which are great. And is it as short as, say, a GR86? No. But the engagement is great. And I'm telling you, if you're new to the manual transmission world, it's a cinch to drive. We have nice style with the gloss black and the silver. It's just like I said, the gloss black, that's what you get. You get fingerprints. 2 cup holders, nice high armrest. We lift that up, and then you'll be easily able to put a Jose Canseco signed baseball. It's got a USB-C and a 12-volt. And speaking of a baseball, softer than a baseball, these ceramic white seats with the cloth centers, nice bolstering, manual control for the passenger. I have electric assist for the driver, and like I said, outside of the vehicle, shocking that we don't have a sunroof, but we do have plenty of room between the top of my head and the headliner, and I'm 6 feet tall. But why don't you come over here to this leather-wrapped steering wheel in our 6-speed manual Corolla Hatchback. All right, guys, behind the business end. Now, what's a bummer is there's no, like, sport-style pedals, so no aluminum pedals, even though we have the 3 pedals for the manual transmission. You do, though, have nice seat controls with that lower lumbar that's easy to get to. Steering wheel is going to be your standard affair. Would have been nice to kind of bring something a little extra, but it is leather wrapped. Horn button, not the sexiest, but you do have flat black on all the buttons. A little bit of silver trim, manual tilting and telescoping steering wheel, and then you got that 7-inch digital cluster in the center with your speedometer, and then you could scroll through a plethora of information, analog tach, analog fuel gauge, and coolant gauge around the 7-inch digital display. It's very clear and very easy to read. But why don't we go ahead, let's get in the back seat and see, are your passengers going to be as happy as the passengers in a Civic hatch in this Corolla? All right, guys, we're in the back seat. Now, I'm going to be straightforward with you. Being 6 feet tall, it's a little tight getting in and out of the door opening on the back seat. And I sort of feel like I'm in a Mazda 3. Actually, the Mazda 3 might come down just a little bit lower, but still have plenty of headroom, which is great. Just, I feel kind of claustrophobic in this area over here. Backs of the seats, all soft touch material. You have these massive pockets. And what's great is that you could put things like Wonka bars back here. You could easily put about 10, 15 Wonka bars, since the exterior color looks like a Willy Wonka color from one of the candies that he makes. You do have no AC vents, no connectivity, but what you do have is an everlasting gobstopper holder. You could easily put, I would say, 10 everlasting gobstoppers. And the great news about that is that you have the room for them because they're everlasting. I have my own pocket over here, put my own Wonka bars. Hopefully I have the golden ticket and I get to go see the man himself. But sitting here, like I said, it's a little bit on the cramped side. Let's see what the armrest feels like. Now that's super soft. 2 cup holders, which are great. Seats look exactly the same as they do up front, but let's get into the cargo area and see what we can haul in our bright blue Corolla hatchback. All right, guys, time to get into the back cargo area. So we're gonna lift up the back, get it? Corolla lift back on our hatchback. Hit the button, lift it up. What are you gonna be greeted to? You're actually gonna be greeted to a decent amount of width, plenty of height, and you know what? Our particular one I'm gonna show you real quick is not optioned with a spare tire. So this one actually has the spare tire delete, and I'll explain that real briefly to you why they have that. So on your standard Corolla with a spare tire, you're looking at 17.8 cubic feet of space. Without the spare, we now maximize it at 23 cubic feet of space. The sad news is the Civic hatchback just destroys this thing with more room. But you do have, like I said, 23 cubic feet of space, and we're gonna fold down the rear seats. The thing that's a little bit of a bummer is you kind of have to reach over the security shade to get to the button to release the seat, but there it is in its total down position. I'll straighten out this mat to give you a better idea. I'm actually gonna get it out of the way to show you just how much lower that cargo floor is without the spare. But you know what? It's about that time. If you're ready, I'm definitely ready. Let's go ahead and take this Corolla 6-speed manual for an on spin. All right, guys, we're inside this 2022 Toyota Corolla Hatchback XSE. I have the automatic rev match downshifting, that IMT, intelligent manual transmission, switched on for right now. Give you an idea how it helps with downshifting in this vehicle. Now, it isn't as sporty or aggressive as, say, like a Honda Civic Type R, but it does allow you to be able to downshift without having to heel toe and blip the throttle yourself to make that transition very smooth. Obviously, just like any other Toyota Corolla that we've been in as of recent memory, everything is well within reach. Infotainment system is well displayed. Everything with the 7-inch digital dash and the tachometer and everything. And really, seating position is great. I just wish the steering wheel could come a little closer to me. I don't want to have to keep moving the seat forward, and I have it all the way extended out, so it would have been nice just to have a little bit more. But let's see how it goes. If you're ready, I'm ready. Let's go on throttle. On throttle, here we go, yeah! Now, comparing this to, obviously, the Civic, this is gonna be a little softer, just a little bit softer. We gotta be mindful of these speed bumps. A little bit softer, not as crisp on the steering and the shifter movement and everything, but still a fun car to go through the twisties with, because you don't have a ton of horsepower, which is great. And that's what's wonderful about this car, is that you're gonna get that great fuel economy, of course, and then at the end of the day, having the availability of a manual transmission, it's just gonna allow you to be able to have that engaged driving experience. But let's do another on throttle acceleration. On throttle, here we go, yeah! Chirpy tire's a happy tire. There's two right there. Here we go. Very, very nimble. I'm really excited for the GR86 once that comes, but until that day, this is what we have. I mean, everything feels really balanced, and I do like the way with the 2-liter, you could just rev it all the way out to red line, and it pulls very cleanly. And that's the one thing, is that without a turbo, you're not waiting for boost to kick in, and that is what's gonna allow that nice linear torque delivery. The 6-speed, the throws are a little long. It's not super crisp on engagement, but that's not the purpose. This is not an SI competitor. This is definitely not a Type R competitor. This is gonna go against that regular hatchback from Honda with the Civic hatch. But even Honda's hatchback, the Civic hatchback, it has a little bit more driving engagement. You feel a little bit more connected to what the front wheels are doing compared to the Civic. All right, guys, let me downshift the first. There's that automatic rev match downshift. Clutch is light, good pickup point. On throttle, here we go. Nice chirping of the tire. Slow down for these speed bumps. And then we're back on it again. Here we go. It's just a fun car to drive with a manual. Look at this. Nice and balanced. Holds the line really, really well. But you also don't have a lot of horsepower to get yourself into trouble with, which is, that's part of the fun factor. You don't always need 800 horsepower to have fun behind the wheel of a vehicle, especially one that is on a tight, twisty road like this. Nice, look at this, through that transition, very connected. You can tell the difference between the XSE and this, the other hatchbacks, because of the work that's been done with the suspension tuning, with the chassis tuning. But watch, when I downshift, you get those blips with the automatic rev match downshift. You ready? All right, here we go. On the brakes. Nice, look at this. Pesky speed bumps. Gotta slow down for those. Really manages the speed bumps well on top of that. Now there is some understeer, of course, being front wheel drive. And yes, from a dead stop, you are gonna get torque steer in this. This is not negating the torque steer like the Civic Type R does. But what you are getting, like I said, is a very easy to drive manual transmission car. If you're new, this is so simple because you just let your foot off that clutch and it's super smooth. You don't have to worry about it dying on you, unless you're on a hill, of course, and you're rolling backwards, but you do have a hill assist with this, and that just makes the whole driving of the manual transmission that much easier. Now, seats are comfy, definitely more comfortable interior than the Civic. Seats are way more comfy. You're not sitting so low in the car, and visibility is actually really, really great. And the overall proportions are nice. I'm telling you, when that GR Corolla comes out with a turbocharged engine and all-wheel drive, it's gonna be one heck of a hot hatch to throw around, and we're definitely gonna be doing that here on Raiti's Rides. But watch as we go over these bumps, soaks everything up really nicely without shaking your kidneys. Because remember, like I said, with the XSE trim, you are getting a little bit more sportier tune to the suspension and the chassis from the factory compared to, say, an SE or any of the other trims, or an XLE. But really, really smooth in the driving. All right, guys, I shut the automatic rev match shifting off. We're gonna heel toe downshift ourselves. Here we go, on throttle. Nice. Third gear. It's just fun. These cars are so fun to drive. Very predictable, very confidence inspiring. You don't have to be afraid of it and be scared. And this is gonna help you hone your driving skills. That's what's great about these types of cars, is that if you're just learning to get behind the wheel of a manual transmission car or to drive on twisty bits, less horsepower is your friend. It allows you to work on carrying your speed. It allows you to focus on the actual line rather than scaring the heck out of yourself with tons of horsepower. But nice to have the extra availability of cargo space if you want to option it without the spare tire. It's going to be interesting to see what happens with cargo space when we're running all-wheel drive, because remember, that rear diff is going to need an area to fit into. So I'm guessing that it's probably going to be that standard 17 cubic feet of space or so. You won't have the option of the additional room. But driving from a driver's standpoint, the seating position is great. I just wish the steering wheel would come a little bit further out. And of course, it would be nice if the throws were shorter on the manual, but this is not, like I said, this is not some high performance hot hatch. Still a ton of fun to drive. And it's crazy how when you add a manual transmission to a car, rather than the CVT that this normally comes with, it changes the whole personality of it, because it becomes engaging and fun, and you can toss it around and still have that everyday usability. Awesome fuel economy, that's for sure. All right, guys, one more time for me, one more time for you. On try, here we go, yeah! Yeah, chirping tires, a super happy tire. That's how it works on Raiti's Rides. On the brakes. I'm telling you, this thing is a hoot. Look at this. Great grip from the front end and really balanced front to rear. Here we go. You just carry your speed. Really, really nice, super smooth. I tell you, they've done a great job with this Corolla. I can't wait for the next generation, and I can't wait for this GR Corolla. But we're gonna get back to where this all started and wrap it up, so I'll see you in a split second. All right, guys, it's been a wonderful day here with this bright blue Corolla hatchback. I definitely want to thank Zach and the rest of the crew over at Toyota for allowing Raity's Rides access to this press fleet vehicle. It just goes to show that even though many people are swapping over to SUVs, there's still a lot of demand for sedans and hatchbacks. Plus, what better way than to get a 6-speed manual transmission? But let me know what you think between this Corolla hatch and, of course, the new Civic hatchback. Which way would you spend your hard-earned money? I know Toyota and Honda are going to be looking, so make sure you make it real good. But until we meet again, if you're on your way out, hit that subscribe button. I promise you it's worthwhile. Come back for more. If you are a subscriber, thank you for being part of the Raity's Rides family. If you want to help us keep making great content just for you in the channel, click the link in the description. Get yourself some Raity's Rides merch. Got to give it up to the queen of the camera. She's out here busting her butt. Show her some love in that comment section. Thank you, Lori, for working as hard as you do. And just like always, guys, I'll see you on the next ride.